Something just shifted in Detroit, and I'm telling you right now, the silence coming out of Allen Park these past few days isn't what it seems. While everyone's been fixated on our defense, on the edge rushers we didn't get, on the secondary depth we desperately need, there's been movement happening behind closed doors that could completely change how we approach the rest of this season and beyond. I've been digging, I've been connecting dots, and the picture I'm seeing has me more excited than I've been in weeks. Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report, where you're going to get the most updated news, the most reliable analysis, and yes, the rumors that actually matter about our beloved Detroit Lions. I'm bringing you something today that's going to make you rethink everything you thought you knew about Brad Holmes' strategy this year. Stay with me because what I'm about to break down is going to blow your mind. Let me paint you a picture of where we are right now. Christian Mahogany went down in Week 9 against Minnesota with a broken ankle. Dan Campbell himself said Mahogany would be out for a long time, and suddenly our offensive line depth, which we thought was solid, started looking paper-thin. We brought in Jack Conley to the practice squad. We're looking at sliding Tristan Collin or Kingsley Egwakun into rotation. But here's the reality I need you to understand. This offensive line, the unit that was absolutely dominant the past 2 seasons, the foundation that allowed Jared Goff to have career-best numbers, the wall that created lanes for David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, that unit has taken a step back this year. We've all seen it. The metrics confirm it. The pass protection hasn't been as crisp, the push in short yardage situations hasn't been as overwhelming, and now with Mahogany down, we're one injury away from a serious crisis. Now, I want you to think about something with me. The Cleveland Browns are sitting at the bottom of their division. They're looking at a complete rebuild. They've got veterans on expensive contracts who deserve better than what Cleveland can give them right now. And among those veterans, they have 2 of the best interior offensive linemen in the entire National Football League. I'm talking about Joel Bitonio, a 4-time Pro Bowler, a guy who's been the model of consistency at left guard since 2014, and Wyatt Teller, a 3-time Pro Bowler whose power and athleticism in the running game is exactly what we built our identity on. These aren't just good players, these are elite talents who fit our scheme like they were designed for it. Here's where this gets interesting, and I need you to really focus on this because the timing is absolutely perfect. The Browns aren't going anywhere this season. They're looking at their roster, they're looking at their cap situation, and smart organizations in that position start making moves to accumulate assets and get younger. Both Bitonio and Teller are in their 30s now. Both are on contracts that make sense for a contending team, but might be burdensome for a rebuilding one. Cleveland has shown they're willing to move pieces. They've made it clear they're open for business, and the market for elite offensive linemen is always strong, especially for teams like us who are in win-now mode. Imagine this with me for just a moment. Picture our offensive line with Frank Ragnow at center, the anchor we know and love, and then flanking him on both sides, you've got Bitonio at left guard and Teller at right guard. 2 absolute maulers, 2 guys who've made their careers dominating defensive tackles, opening up running lanes, and protecting their quarterback like their lives depend on it. Penei Sewell at right tackle continues his development into a superstar. Taylor Decker holds it down on the left side. And suddenly, we don't just have a good offensive line, we have the kind of dominant unit that can carry us through January and into February. Think about what this does for our running game. Montgomery and Gibbs have been electric this year, but imagine them running behind Bitonio and Teller. The Browns built their running identity on Teller's ability to pull and create lanes. His combination of size and speed makes him a devastating force on zone schemes and outside runs. Bitonio's technique and power in the interior would give us the kind of push in short yardage that we've been missing. We're talking about 2 guys who could immediately elevate our already potent ground attack into something that defenses have nightmares about. But it's not just about the running game, and this is crucial. Goff has been taking more hits this season, the pocket hasn't been as clean, and we all know that protecting your quarterback is the most important job an offensive line has. Bitonio and Teller have decades of combined experience protecting their quarterback. They understand stunts, they communicate at an elite level, and they bring the kind of veteran presence that helps everyone around them play better. Our young guys, our backups, everyone gets better when you have that caliber of player in the room teaching and leading by example. Now, let's talk about the financial reality, because I know some of you are thinking about the cap, about draft picks, about the cost of making a move like this. Here's the beautiful part. Both Bitonio and Teller are on deals that are absolutely manageable for a team in our position. We're not talking about breaking the bank here. We're talking about reasonable salaries for elite production. The Browns, if they're serious about rebuilding, would be motivated to move these contracts to get compensation back, rather than holding on to them for a lost season. Brad Holmes has shown he's not afraid to be aggressive when the right opportunity presents itself. And this, ladies and gentlemen, this is the right opportunity. The draft pick compensation wouldn't be prohibitive either. We're not talking about first-round picks for guards, even elite ones. A package involving a second or third rounder, maybe with some conditional picks based on playing time or playoff success, that's the kind of deal that makes sense for both sides. Cleveland gets assets to build with. We get immediate impact players who can help us win now. It's the kind of trade that both franchises can walk away from feeling good about. I want to address something that I know has been frustrating for all of us. The trade deadline passed, and we stood pat. We didn't make the splashy moves for defensive help that everyone was clamoring for. We watched other teams load up, and we stayed quiet. But here's what I think is happening, and this is where my optimism comes from. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell aren't panicking. They're not making desperate moves just to make moves. They're being strategic, they're being calculated, and they're looking at this roster and identifying where they can make the biggest impact with the resources they have. The defensive issues are real, but throwing draft capital at marginal upgrades wasn't the answer. What they're doing, what I believe they're planning, is addressing the offensive line before it becomes a crisis, before we're scrambling mid-season because another injury hits. Free agency is coming, and that's when these moves can happen. That's when teams like Cleveland that are out of contention start making their veteran players available. That's when we can strike with precision and purpose. The speculation around Bitonio and Teller isn't just fan wishful thinking, it's based on real organizational logic. It makes sense for where both teams are, it makes sense for what we need, and it makes sense for the kind of aggressive forward-thinking approach that has defined this regime. Let me bring this all together for you because I want you to understand the bigger picture here. This isn't just about adding 2 guards, this is about committing to our identity. We're a physical team, we're a team that wants to impose our will on opponents, we're a team that runs the football and controls the clock and makes life miserable for defensive coordinators. Bitonio and Teller represent the best of that philosophy. They're nasty, they're tough, they're everything that Dan Campbell preaches every single day. Adding them doesn't just make us better on paper, it reinforces who we are as a football team. The defensive issues aren't going away, and we're going to have to address those. But championships are won in the trenches. They're won by teams that can run the ball when everyone knows you're going to run it. They're won by teams that can protect their quarterback in crucial moments. They're won by teams that have depth and talent on the offensive line, the kind of depth that survives injuries and keeps the offense humming no matter what. That's what this potential move represents. That's what gets me so excited about the possibility. I've seen the way this organization operates over the past few years, and I trust the process. I trust Brad Holmes to identify talent and make smart moves. I trust Dan Campbell to know what this team needs to get over the hump. And when I look at Joel Bitonio and Wyatt Teller, when I see what they could bring to this offense, when I imagine them in Honolulu blue protecting Jared Goff and opening holes for our running backs, I can't help but get excited about where this could take us. This is the kind of move that championship teams make. This is the kind of investment in the trenches that pays dividends in January. So here's my analysis straight up. If the Lions can pull off deals to bring in Bitonio and Teller, either one or both of them, it changes the trajectory of our season and potentially our franchise. It gives us the kind of offensive line stability and dominance that can mask other weaknesses. It protects our investment in Goff. It maximizes what we have in our backfield, and it gives us the kind of depth that championship teams need. The cost would be reasonable, the fit would be perfect, and the impact would be immediate. I want to hear from you, Lions faithful. Do you think Brad Holmes should be aggressive in pursuing these Cleveland guards? Does adding elite interior offensive line talent make more sense than chasing defensive help at this point? How confident are you that this front office will make the right moves to keep our Super Bowl window wide open? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's have a real conversation about where this team is headed and what moves make the most sense for our championship aspirations. If you want to stay on top of every development, every rumor, every piece of breaking news about your Detroit Lions, make sure you're subscribed to Lions News Fan Report. Hit that notification bell because I'm bringing you content every single day, breaking down the moves that matter and giving you the analysis you need to understand where this franchise is going. We're building something special here in Detroit, and I want you along for every single step of the journey. Let's go get that championship. Let's go make some noise, and let's see Brad Holmes work his magic in the trenches. One pride always.